Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host for this morning. And thank you so much for joining us. And Jay Smooth, he's kind of beat me to the punch. He is here. He says, "Good morning, beautiful Black Americans." Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube. And yes, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. So again, thanks for joining us. I'm going to get right into it. Of course, we're doing our morning prayer here. You can just follow along with the outline. And so we are honoring God with your body, right? My bod for God. That's what my pastor came up with. And for my mind, God, help me fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. For my ears, God, help me be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. For my eyes, God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. Um, for my mouth, God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. For my hands, God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in faith. For my reproductive organs, God, help me to honor you with my body. For my feet, God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And I have been reading over these particular passages this week, and I'll be studying them myself for the next 30 days because it's a challenge that our pastor gave to us to really be focused on honoring God with our body, right? Because a lot of times we really don't think about really honoring God, right? There are times when you are in the trenches, God gets you out of the trenches and you're really focused, and then you just kind of drift away, right? But this is really holding you to a pattern. And anything that you do pretty much over 21 days consistently becomes a habit, right? I don't know if a lot of us know that, but it becomes a habit and then you become consistent with it, right? So we want to be consistent in all things, especially honoring God with our body. So again, thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News. We're about to get into a lot of news today, guys. I was just like, okay, what do I cover? What do I not cover? I wanted to get into our first video. Now, this is about Christine Nome. I don't know if many of you have seen this, but I don't know what's going on with CBS and why they just refuse to put out good content. And what I mean by that is they are constantly altering their interviews with individuals as opposed to just putting out the raw footage. What is wrong with you? You are supposed to interview people and then put out what you interviewed them about, not snip it and clip it to make it something else, because that is propaganda. But again, we have the Smith-Month Modernization Act, which does not hold them accountable for propagandizing the American public. And out of it, not to tangent too hard, in my opinion, we've created a cult of politics. Right? Like people really look at their politics as a religion, and it has become a cult on both sides, right? I'm not holding anybody's side indefensible. People have really just stopped thinking things through and wanting people to agree with them. And if they don't, they want to abandon them. Now, I will say on one side of the aisle, it does seem to be more like that than the other side, but the other side isn't too far behind in where they're at either. And it's really good. It's like, stop. Politics is there to help us with governance, right? I think everybody wants a civil society, a society that treats individuals fairly, right? With respect. And that's what's been lost. So hopefully we'll get back there. But yeah, let me play this video. And Patty Cakes, thank you so much for joining us this morning and reposting the stream.
Continue to do is to make sure that he doesn't walk free in the United States of America. This individual was a known human smuggler, a MS-13 gang member, an individual who was a wife beater, and someone who was so perverted that he solicited nude photos from minors, and even his fellow human traffickers told him to knock it off. He was so sick in what he was doing and how he was treating small children. So he needs to never be in the United States of America, and our administration is making sure we're doing all that we can to bring him to justice.
Yeah, that was the uncut response, right? That was the uncut response. And what they've been doing, unfortunately, at CBS is they've been taking just that short clip and then adding on to it. And I know what they're going to say. Well, we just didn't have enough time. No, you have the time. Because see, if you have the time to edit it, right, then you have the time to play the whole interview and let the American people decide. Because that's your job. Your job is journalism, right? Your job is just giving the information, not framing the information so you get the response that you want. That's two totally different things. And so now our next video that I'm going to go to is Michigan. They're having budget issues, not just any budget issues that I find very, very fascinating. So let's check this out.
Frauds we've uncovered in Michigan.
We've identified $5 billion of waste, fraud, and abuse in the state budget.
A lot of people are very, very concerned, oh my gosh, to have a budget that's under $80 billion, you must have had to gut a lot. Nope, we didn't have to gut, we just had to cut. 4,277 phantom jobs.
You guys realize what a scandal this is? People should be prosecuted for taking money that was appropriated to hire employees and using that money for another purpose entirely.
Gender reassignment surgeries for prisoners. There are programs in there that don't even exist, and they're funding them. Like the Starbase, I mean, that was eliminated a few years ago, and they still fund it. We get rid of the arts and culture grants. They're real waste. I mean, you look at what they are. Glass blowing, barbershop quartets, all kinds of things, really. It's incredible the things they got away with calling it arts and culture grants. See, that's why Winnie Brinks doesn't want to get in the room with me, because I know the budget in and out. I don't know it as well as Ann. So they know if Ann and I get in the room with Sarah Anthony and Winnie Brinks, we're going to get a great deal because we know the budget better than them.
$5 billion. And what would be hiding in a lot of our municipalities, right? Scary. And this is what makes it bad for people who really want to do good things in their community. It's like, why are all these people wasting money when we do have homelessness, right? That can be solved, but they're not. When we do have individuals that have mental health issues or just different things going on, but we're wasting $5 billion as opposed to using that money to really fix the issue. But you know what they'll do? They will turn around this next election and say, like, oh my gosh, we have these problems and these issues. You need to elect me so I can fix them. But you had the opportunity to fix it and you wasted the money. The bigger question is, why did you waste the money? Yeah. So we need to pray for Michigan that they, get their budgets straightened out. And Black Empowered, thank you so much for joining us this morning and reposting the stream. Now, our show is going to take a little bit of a transition, and this is our Women in Wellness Wednesday, and it's open mic. So if anyone would like a mic to join me on the program this morning, you are more than welcome. Just let me know, and I will send you the link to join us here on the show. I prefer if it was a woman, right? Just to talk about any topic actually that you would like to cover. And you don't have to show your face. If you just want to have your voice, you can choose that as well. But the next story we're going to get into, and this is something that I actually looked up because I wanted to make sure that it was, how should I say, real and true, Because sometimes you'll see things on the internet and they're blown out of proportion. You're like, well, is that an actual, did that really happen? Right. And I hate to say it like that, but there are just sometimes and things they get out faster than they're vetted. And this is a situation where a young man was at an event and his life was threatened. And I'm like, whoa, what are we doing? And this has happened on both sides, black against white, white against black. And unfortunately, our children, there is a spirit and an evil pattern going on. And we as, I guess, the living elders, we really need to help our youth understand that being violent towards one another in this type of way isn't setting a good precedent. So let's check this out.
With us tonight, I'm Amber Noggle.
And I'm Brandon Taylor. Right now, the Iowa County Sheriff's Office is investigating a fight that happened at a barn in the town of Pulaski. Video shows a group of boys attacking a black boy and using racial slurs.
Lucas Kim talked with a community leader and friend of the family of the boy who was attacked. He's got you covered on her plea to law enforcement. We want to warn you, some of this video may be disturbing to watch. We're also blurring faces because many are believed to be minors.
Cell phone video appears to show a group of teenagers attacking a 14-year-old African-American teen from Platteville in the town of Pulaski on Saturday, August 16.
And I'm looking at the video, and it tore my heart.
Lynn Parrott is the city of Platteville's alderperson at large and says she was shocked to see the video. The victim's mother sent it to her.
The slurs and the verbiage and the, beat that N-word and F that N-word and bust his eye. Like, why?
Parrott says thankfully the 14-year-old boy is recovering from his injuries and is okay physically, but says he's emotionally scarred from this incident forever.
He could get to the point where he doesn't trust. He'll lose friends. He'll withdraw if that's what we want.
Parrott says the boy told his family that he was a target because the group mistook him for someone else. You can see in the video some of the people there tried to break up the fight. Iowa County Sheriff Mike Peterson says the fight is under investigation. His deputies responded that night because a fire was reported at the same spot. When they got there, the people who were part of the fight had left. They are reviewing the video now to identify the people involved. Meanwhile, Parrott is calling for accountability.
He went out to an event with some friends that he had some trust, right? And so if he trusted these people that brought him out there, like, what happened?
In Platteville, I'm Lucas Kim.
Yeah. And this is, a true reminder that we have to remind our children, right? Don't go somewhere by yourself. Even if it's a mixed crowd, like don't go somewhere by yourself. You need to have at least one or two other people with you that got your back. Do you know what I'm saying? That are going to be there to support you, because the way our children are today, I mean, it's just sad. It's just sad. And like the alderman was saying, he's gonna withdraw. He may not trust other people. I mean, we really need to pray for this young man, but also pray that they find these individuals that felt that emboldened to do this. And the scary part, and I'll say allegedly, a lot of times teens that act like this, their parents are involved in the local politics, right? They may sit on the board of elections. They may even be on the police department. And that's sad to say it like that, but a lot of times that happens. Their parents are in places of authority. And it's crazy. And Cajun lady said, yeah, we used the buddy system growing up. We did. There were a lot of times, I wanted to go to different, parties and stuff like that. My mom was like, okay. But even if I didn't go with anybody, I always went to places where I knew the people that were there. Like, I went to school with them. I had a good relationship with them. So I didn't feel by myself. I'm still not a party person. Still to this day, it's just awkward. I was just like, okay, I guess I'll be here. Oh, I guess I'll be. You know what I mean? It doesn't do anything for me. It's boring to me. It always has been. So if you don't see me in different social light settings, because I find it stupid. But that's just me. Some people enjoy that stuff. Some people enjoy just being out. No, I'm not the one. So yeah, if you ask me, I might not go. But Cajun Lady says, good morning. Thank you so much, Cajun Lady, and good morning to you and for joining us. But yes, use the buddy system. Encourage our young people to use the buddy system. Now, this next video we're going to get into, I don't want to say it's more so mistaken identity but it is really a testament to, a lot of people will say God is watching, right? So be on your best behavior. Or there's a passage, oh gosh, I'm forgetting. And I'll paraphrase it, but it goes something like, work as if you're working for the Lord, right? Because if you were doing something for God specifically, you would just try to make sure it was elegant and beautiful and everything was right, and right? But we should always have that mindset, irregardless, especially when we're in positions of authority and we're interacting with other people. So I want you guys to check out this video, and it's going to surprise you what the outcome is.
Oh, come on, buddy. What are we up to tonight? I got you sitting here.
A cop confronts a man in a laundromat, demanding to search his bag without a warrant.
And this was in 2023.
But under the Fourth Amendment, that's illegal without probable cause. When the truth about this man's identity comes out, you won't believe it. Watch what happens next.
In a laundromat with a big old bag looking heavy. I got complaints that you're looking suspicious. People wondering what you're clutching your bag for. What are we up to tonight? What do we got in the bag, buddy?
Okay, so he says people are concerned about, do these three men in the background, do they look really concerned? They're just going about their business, like whatever. They don't look really concerned, but we'll see.
What are we doing?
Why do you need to know what's in my bag?
Because I'm getting complaints, and now I've got to come into the laundromat in the part of town I don't want to be in. I'd rather just be circling around and making sure no one's shooting at each other, and instead I got to come in here and deal with some old man with a duffel bag. So what's in the bag, and are you going to show me, or do I have to take it myself and run you downtown?
I don't mind you showing the bag, but I won't be doing that today.
Okay. Well, you are going to be showing me what's in the bag. I've got complaints that you are looking suspicious. You've got a heavy-looking bag. And so either you're going to tell me what's in the bag, or I'll just take you downtown with me. Because are there firearms or something?
Do you have a warrant?
Do I have a warrant? I don't need a warrant if I have reasonable suspicion.
You need the bag. You need a warrant to search my bag.
No.
I'm not sitting here. What, if my socks are clogging up the state?
I'm telling you, I'm getting complaints that you're a problem, or I'm making you a problem because everyone's saying that you're suspicious, and you're down here clutching on your bag. So what's inside the bag? What's so important?
I'm holding my bag, and since you don't have a warrant, you can't search my bag.
Are you trying to go the whole lawyer route now or something? We're in the shitty part of town. You're just a random dude, and now you want to pull the law on me. Like, I don't do the law for a living.
Just sitting here washing my clothes. That's all I'm doing.
Right. So am I going to have to use my cuffs, or are you going to tell me what's in the bag? If it's a firearm and I have to detain you and cuff you and stuff you, I got no problem with that. But if you try to get some funky business on me, we're going to go that whole route, buddy.
I do not have anything in my bag that's not belonging in the bag.
Well, that's really an interpretation at this point, right? Like, you might think it belongs in the bag, but to me, what is it? Is it drugs? Is it firearms?
You still hadn't showed me a warrant. You still have not showed me a warrant.
If I have reasonable suspicion, which is a bunch of people calling and complaining and being fearful for their safety and the neighborhood safety.
Where are all these people at this doing?
You think the people that called scared of you were hanging out in here? These are the people that I'm not worried about you messing with. These are the people like you. This is the young version of you out here causing trouble at 11:30 at night. Well, doing what?
Just because I have a bag in my hand with my clothes, washing at a laundromat, washing clothes, and you decide to come up to me and start talking about how I got something heavy in my bag and that it looks suspicious and all of this stuff. Why are you doing that?
Well, we're getting closer.
No warrant.
We're getting closer. Is that the truth? Is that what's in there? Is it closed? Because I asked you, is there drugs? Is there weapons? Is there anything to concern? And you said, oh, I don't have to tell you, law, as if you're a lawyer. Now, if it's closed, then we don't got a problem, do we?
Do not have to show you what's in this bag.
But if
I'm sitting here minding my own business.
Right. But have you ever heard that you get more flies with sugar than honey? Or honey than sugar? Or whichever way it goes? Whichever way it goes, the point is.
Care about pause this. So Spud McKenzie says, I hope this is a skit, because if the cop is this dumb, then we're in trouble. Let's continue to watch.
If you tell me what's in the bag, I don't have to worry about you, and I give you some freedom, right? Some of those freedoms you want to tell me that you know about with the law. But if I have to take your freedom away, it's because you're making me fearful.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not bothering anybody in here. I'm just minding my own business. You decided to come in here while...
And Patty Cake says, washing clothes while black. Smell. Yeah, okay.
Over to me with all of these other people in here. You walk over to me and say, I have something suspicious in my bag.
No, that's not what happened. I didn't randomly come in here. We've got calls of complaints, which is the reasonable suspicion that I mentioned, and now you're trying to double back on as if it isn't in my corner. That reasonable suspicion is why I'm here. People are suspicious of you, and they want to know what's in that big bag of yours that you seem so clutch to, because that's the type of way you hold a bag when you've got something you don't want someone taken from you, like illegal money or guns or drugs.
I don't want nobody to take this stuff from me.
Well, why is that?
My property.
And it's just your clothes? It's just your clothes.
It's my clothes.
So why would it matter that you need to clutch on it so seriously?
Because they're mine.
Okay, but what does that matter?
Because they're mine. Why
would anybody come to the laundromat and be interested in your clothes? Like, that's such a stupid point. Like, work with me. What are you telling me?
Now, Cajun Lady says that's a problem when the officer says, I give you freedoms. What the heck? God above gave us our freedoms, right? And that's true, because a lot of times, not just the officer, but politicians, they really forget about that clause in the First Amendment, right? That our rights are given to us by God. We are free. We are not, the government is not God. God gives us our freedom. We have a God-given right to be free, period.
Your clothes? No shit.
They're my clothes. But why would you want
Sorry
to
for the cursing.
take a look at my clothes? Why do you take a look at my bag?
I want to know what's in it because people are worried about the way you're not doing laundry. You're clutched on it. At this point, let me just take it myself. Listen, I'm going to confiscate this myself. Are you finally going to show me? Yeah. It better not be a firearm or anything bad.
All right, sir.
It better not be anything bad because I have my cuffs ready to go. I swear to God, I'll run you downtown.
I will show you what's in my bag.
If there's a gun, slowly.
You know.
Well, you got like a blanket or you got some kind of like dress or something in there? Slowly. I swear to God, if there's a weapon snuck in there. I got my hand right here. Do you see my hand? It's on my hip.
Is what is in my bag, right here.
Judge.
I am the judge. Who will be presiding over your FOP tomorrow.
You're Franklin Carter?
I'm Judge Franklin.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm so sorry, Your Honor.
Excuse me, there's no excuse. I'm going to be presiding over your docket tomorrow.
Oh my God.
And I will be adding an assault and also threatening my body, threatening my person.
There's no need for complaints, sir. Like, we don't need to add anything. Like, we don't add anything to the docket. There's enough in the docket. I'm not...
I'll be adding other things to the docket because you walked in here, violated my rights by walking over to me, asking to see what's in my bag without a warrant.
I knew you went to Ohio State, Your Honor. I didn't know, Your Honor, Dr. Carter.
It's too late for that. It's too late for that.
I'm so sorry.
You should know.
Okay, I'm gonna go back on my route, and I'm so sorry. I guess I'll see you in the morning, but please don't add anything to the docket, please.
Yeah, please don't add anything to the docket. Oh, now we want to play nice in the sandbox. Now that you know he's the judge that's going to be presiding over your case. Yeah, that tone shifted real quick. And Black Empower says, Reno 9/11 skit. It did look like a skit till that moment. And I did research and I just did a quick Google search. I was like, well, have there been any other judges and incidents? And there has. There has since that time, 2023, 20. And those are the ones we know about, where people don't see judges in their robes, right? And they may not have security detail there because they are just regular people. And they're just out and about doing regular people things. But this officer, and this is something that I've come across. It's what's called a God complex, right? Where they lord it over other people, their positions, which they should not do that. And Patty Cake says, I just love how the Black folks in the background are minding their own business, right? The brothers was back there like, okay, if something pop off, we got you. But we ain't getting involved. Just doing their laundry. Not concerned. That was the thing. The officer kept saying, well, I've gotten calls and people are concerned. Well, those gentlemen weren't concerned and they were in his proximity. You weren't questioning those other individuals like, hey, do you guys feel safe? Is everything okay? But you were berating this gentleman till you found out he was a judge. And then it turned into pleading, please don't do this, please. This is why we are demanding that every police officer wear that camera, and it gives audio and a visual. So we know exactly what's going on and we can have the context of what is happening. This is unfortunate because it shouldn't be happening to any judges, right? No matter their ethnicity, it shouldn't be happening to any judge, but it shouldn't be happening to anyone. But this lets me know the mentality of this individual, because he's already said, well, I'm having to deal with these people and deal with this, that, and the other. I'm like, wow, that's how you view your community. And this is why I'm always talking about community policing. See, his attitude is, I have to deal with these people, as opposed to, you know what? I need to protect my community that I've been entrusted with. Those are two totally different mentalities. And unfortunately, our officers have the latter mentality. These are the people that I have to deal with. Wow. Then you shouldn't be an officer. I'm sorry. You should not be entrusted with a community to serve and protect. You don't have the right mindset. And those are the things that we need to start looking for from every single officer. I don't care what their ethnicity is. And they definitely should be respecting the people in their community that they're there to protect and serve. Those are the two things with officers, right? Protect and serve. It doesn't say be overlords and, the heavy hand. It doesn't say that. It says protect and serve. So I really do hope you guys got a lot out of that. And again, these are things that we need to really look at in our community and making sure and ensuring, right, that people are doing right by one another. Absolutely. All the time. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, there's some things that I found out going on in my backyard. I live here in Georgia, that I wanted to share with you guys. And I'm hoping that this is the first of many situations that are being found out by law enforcement, that they continue to clean up our communities. We'll say that. So again, thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, and we will see you on the other side.
The browsers of today are broken. They've been overtaken by a barrage of sneaky and annoying ads, trackers that follow your habits, and cookies that build profiles, and all sorts of other internet clutter that's taking precedence over the content that you want to see. In fact, these useless bites can take up to a whopping 50% of page load times, with a third of it anxiously trying to learn more about you. To make matters worse, some ad blockers are even letting ads through when large advertisers pay them. But do you really want a leaky ad blocker? It's because of these very reasons that we developed Brave, a new browser that kicks internet crud to the curb and makes it faster, safer, and better to surf the web than your current browser. With Brave, everything you need is built right in. We integrated technology that automatically blocks trackers, annoying ads, and shields everything that can cramp your style and destruct your privacy. With it, you can expect increased speeds nearly 2 times faster on laptops and up to 4 times faster on mobile. And unlike any other browser, Brave allows you to support your favorite publishers with automatic micropayments, so it's a win-win for you and your favorite sites. To top it all off, Brave is open source, because we truly believe it's our web and we need to fix it together. So ask yourself this question: do you want a web browser made for the internet of today? If so, try Brave. It's faster, safer, and ad-free.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host for this morning. And Cajun Lady from our last segment said, karma, yeah. Oh, it's going to come back around. It's going to come back around. Again, you need to treat other people the way you want to be treated. And I'm pretty sure that officer would not like being treated the way he treated this individual. But again, it's the whole mindset. Are you there to protect and serve? Or are you there to lord it over other people? That's a big, big difference. And so right now we're going to look at something that I came across, and it was very, I won't call it scary in that sense, but I will call it concerning, because I do live here in Georgia. I'm not too far from Athens, Georgia, and apparently there was a very large drug bust that recently happened. And I was like, okay, I really haven't heard about this. I don't watch too much local news, but I just didn't see this anywhere, like not even in the news feed, which is weird because it was pretty major what was going on. So let's check it out.
What you just heard were flashbangs used by SWAT in Jackson County.
Actually, I think what they said is, come out with your hands up. We have a warrant.
America, we just uncovered a sophisticated drug trafficking operation in Georgia, and it reads something out of a cartel movie. Federal agents just took down a massive drug ring in Athens that was armed with, get this, a grenade launcher, 26 firearms, including 12 rifles, and enough fentanyl to kill 6.9 million people. But here's what's really disturbing. This operation was ran by repeated offenders who had already served prison time for drug trafficking, got out, and immediately went back to poisoning Georgia communities. We're talking about a criminal enterprise that was distributing fentanyl, cocaine, meth, and heroin, while Georgia's overdose deaths hit 2,649 in 2023. That is a 53% increase from the previous year.
And before we get into our video, thank you, Dr. C, for joining the stream, and good morning to you.
In a major crackdown on gang activity, the FBI says it arrested 17 alleged gang members in connection to a violent drug trafficking ring.
The FBI's Atlanta office joined the Safe Streets Gang Task Force to make those arrests.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This bust exposes exactly how Mexican cartels have established permanent distribution networks in American college towns, while our justice system keeps releasing the same criminals over and over again. Let me break down what federal agents seized during this operation, because the numbers are kind of staggering. We're talking about 26 kilograms of cocaine with a street value of $780,000, 1.7 kilograms of fentanyl worth $60,000, 50 grams of methamphetamine, and 5.4 ounces of crack cocaine, 2.4 pounds of marijuana, and 128 controlled pharmaceuticals. What makes this operation particularly terrifying is the weapons. They seized 26 firearms in total. This wasn't a drug operation. This was a paramilitary mercenary organization prepared for war with law enforcement.
And while the homeowner didn't want to go on camera, he tells me law enforcement kicked in his downstairs door and arrested a person living with him. When I asked why, he didn't care to elaborate. The FBI posted these pictures to their Facebook account, saying agents were out arresting gang members as part of Operation Summer Heat.
The operation involved 13 federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies executing 12 search warrants across Athens and Atlanta. This included the FBI Athens Middle Georgia Safe Streets Gang Task Force, the DEA, Georgia Bureau of Investigations, and multiple sheriff's office. When it takes 13 agencies to take down one drug ring, you know you're dealing with something sophisticated. Here's what's going to make your blood boil about this case. Multiple defendants in this operation are repeat offenders who already served prison time for serious felony drug convictions. Ulysses Borja, Orlando Muckle, Joey Campbell, and Bernard Walker all served prison time for prior drug trafficking, got out, and immediately went back to dealing drugs.
U.S. Attorney Will Keyes unsealed 2 federal indictments and 1 criminal complaint charging that group with a variety of drug conspiracy and distribution charges. If they are convicted, they all face a maximum of life in prison.
Patrick Wilkins is a convicted felon who was illegally possessing 5 firearms. So we have a guy that's already been convicted of felonies, prohibited from owning guns, but he has 5 firearms while trafficking drugs. This is exactly what happens when our justice system treats drug traffickers like minor offenses instead of the terrorism that it actually is. The main player of this operation was Alicio Yanez Pinea, also known as Choquito, a 48-year-old, you guessed it, from Mexico. This shows connection between Mexican cartels and drug distribution in Georgia communities. This wasn't just local dealers. This was an international criminal organization with tentacles reaching into college towns. To understand why this bust is so significant, we need to understand the scope of Georgia's drug crisis. In 2023, Georgia recorded 2,649 fentanyl overdose deaths, a 53% increase from 2022. That's more than 7 people dying from fentanyl every single day in Georgia. The 1.7 kilograms of fentanyl seized in this operation could have produced approximately 850,000 lethal doses. But that's just what they caught. How much fentanyl has this organization already distributed into Georgia communities over the years while they were operating? What makes this even more disturbing is that Athens is a college town. The University of Georgia has over 40,000 students, and this drug ring was operating right in their backyard. College students are particularly vulnerable to fentanyl because they often don't know what they're taking. It's mixed into fake prescription pills and powders and other drugs. The fact that this organization was distributing fentanyl where a person under 18 was present shows that they have no regard to children's safety. They're willing to expose to deadly drugs, and that comes along operation. This was a sophisticated distribution network that had operated for years. From January 2024 to May 2025, the Yanez Pineda group distributed more than 400 grams of fentanyl and more than 50 grams of methamphetamine in the Athens region. But there was a second group led by Orlando Muckle, who had been operating even longer. From October 2020 to present, this group distributed more than 400 grams of fentanyl and more than 5 kilograms of cocaine in Athens. So we're talking about multiple criminal organizations operating simultaneously in the same area.
People living on Jimmy Reynolds Drive and Tyler Circle in Arcade say the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and SWAT were outside this home around 6 o'clock in the morning.
The distribution locations included Certain Drive, Essex Court, Commerce Parkway, and Jennings Mill Parkway, basically all throughout Athens. This shows how these cartels establish permanent infrastructure in American communities. They're not just passing through, they're setting up shop and treating our cities like their personal territory. This bust is part of Operation Take Back America, President Trump's nationwide initiative that marshals full resources of the Justice Department to eliminate cartels and transnational criminal organizations. This is exactly the kind of coordinated approach we need to dismantle these type of networks. The charges in this case carry some serious prison time. Due to the massive amounts of drugs and weapons involved, most defendants face a mandatory minimum sentence and potentially life in prison. That is real accountability for people who are poisoning Georgia communities while armed with military-grade weapons.
So we're not just hitting random people. We're not just like pulling the slot machine hoping we get something. No, there's a background information that's done. A lot of legwork is done, and And really, in this particular instance,
This is a targeted operation based on extensive investigation and intelligence gathering. The fact that this investigation involved wiretaps and coordination between 13 agencies shows the level of sophistication required to take down these networks. You can't just arrest street dealers. You have to dismantle the entire organization. America, this Athens drug bust perfectly illustrates why we need President Trump's tough approach to cartels and repeat offenders. We had Mexican cartels operating and working with American repeat felonies to flood a college town with enough fentanyl to kill nearly 7 million people, all well armed with grenade launchers and military-grade weapons. The fact that multiple defendants were repeat offenders who had already served prison time for drug trafficking shows exactly what's wrong with our justice system. These people should have been locked up for decades after their first conviction. Not operation was ran by repeated offenders.
Yeah. And I'll make sure to repost a stream that was, his name is Tyson De La Cruz. Yes. And I'm so glad that he brought this to light. But interestingly enough, because the first thing a lot of people want to say, well, you just have a Democrat state. Well, no, we don't. We have a Republican state, actually. Republican governor, Republican lieutenant governor, House and Senate majority, Republican. But what they don't talk about is at the local level, it is predominantly Democrat everywhere. Even where I live here in Henry County, predominantly Democrat. Now, I'm not going to blame it on either party, but we can go back to policy, right? But these people were let go of at the city level. They weren't held on federal charges because some of the charges were, lower, like marijuana charges or whatever, but they were still a part of a larger investigation. I'm glad that, to his point, that the Trump administration is really cracking down on crime. But it shouldn't just take the Trump administration to crack down on crime. All of our politicians, right, should definitely be focused on not having crime, especially in an area of Athens where you have UGA. I mean, I think everybody's heard of the Georgia Bulldogs. I think everybody on the planet knows who the Georgia Bulldogs are, right? Even if you don't live in Georgia. But they are setting up shop in a college town, which is very, it bustles, it's got business, and very unassuming. That's the thing. There are some towns in Georgia because they're small towns. You know what I'm saying? They're just little quaint towns, and they may have a few hundred or 1,000 people, and people are just going about their day. But these drug dealers, and they're more so like predators. I'm just saying, you got to vet people that are moving into the area, especially. And I'm not trying to be funny, but some people do need to be profiled. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I need your full name. I need to investigate you. Why are you moving here and you don't have family here? Right? Because a lot of people move to these small towns because they've got family, or they might know somebody, or they've researched the town. But if somebody just randomly coming, don't speak the language. Look, I'm looking at you sideways. Why are you even here? Nobody here speaks your language. First of all, what are you doing? Where do you work? Like, yeah, and I know a lot of people are like, well, that's mean. So I would much rather ask somebody, why are you here? What is your business here? Right? Than just be like, okay, we'll just be nice and we just won't say anything. Now, it wouldn't be like the police officer was to the judge. Definitely not, because you don't know who people are. But I would be respectfully trying to figure out, why are you here of any place else that you could be? And it's unfortunate, but that's the type of suspicion that has been created because of the criminal activity going on. I'm just saying, criminals have created a distrust within small communities. I didn't do that. The criminals have done that. So I've got to be figuring out where to find criminals, because I don't want people that I love and appreciate and respect, and people that are around me to fall victim, basically, to drug activity. Fentanyl is very serious. It is a very serious drug that has killed people. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, if you touch it, it could literally kill you. It can get into your, from your skin into your bloodstream, and you're done. That's why I think a couple of months ago, I think it was Redman, he was saying, if you see money or, like maybe tissue in your car on your way, like, don't touch it with your bare hands, because it might have a substance on it that will make you drowsy, and then people will come and disappear you. And those are real things that are really happening to people. So we have to be, neighborhood watch. If you see something, say something, period. I would rather say something and it turn out to be nothing than not say anything at all. And these have happened even in other communities where there was a woman, I want to say it was somewhere in the Midwest. Well, apparently she had escaped somebody's house, and this person was literally killing and eating people. He hadn't eaten her yet because obviously she got out. But when she ran and tried to get help, the woman that she got help, from, was like, "Oh, let me call the police." And the woman begged her not to call the police. I'm like, why would she be begging her? Oh, because the police were involved. Yeah, they found that out later after they had gotten the guy. Yeah. So we have to be careful, right? We have to be that neighborhood watch and looking out for individuals in our community to keep them safe, right? And I am glad that President Trump is going forth with this, because I was like, well, where was the Biden administration? Where has everybody else been? I'm not putting this on any administration. Because this is local, in my opinion. This is the state of Georgia. Where's my governor? Where's my lieutenant governor? Look, where are my representatives? Where are the people that represent this district, right? Where's the mayor? Where's the commissioners? Where are the councilmen? Where are the people on the ground dealing with this? Somebody knew something. This doesn't just move into your neighborhood and you don't know it. Stop that. You knew something and you did nothing. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. Now we're going to transition from that, because we've been talking a lot this week about community. We've been talking a lot this week about how we can, circulate the dollars more, right? And so on this Women in Wellness Wednesday, I don't have anyone that's going to be on the show, but there was something that came up. I thought about it and I was like, yeah, that'd be great to do it on. So I picked hair care, right? Because obviously I like hair. But what I found fascinating when I sat back and thought about it, I was like, do we, as Black Americans, right, Negroes, who do we get our hair care products from? And are we making our own hair care products? Like, like how much of it is us, right? Because my hair is different than other people's hair, and vice versa. Everybody has a different need. But if I have someone who never uses my hair care products making hair care products for me, what sense does that make? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just putting that out there as a question. Does that make sense to anybody else out there? Why would you purchase a product from someone who never is going to use that product? Now, I'm not talking about cigarettes, because that's, obviously it's optional, but I'm just talking about like shampoo. Right? If there's a certain shampoo that would do better for your hair than somebody else's hair, why would let's say I'm a manufacturer, why would I make hair care products for somebody else's hair that I never use, that I would never use, because it's not going to affect my hair the same way? Why? And a lot of people say, well, that's just capitalism. It is to a certain extent. But then my question became, are the people that are Negroes, are they being how should I say, held back from making products for our hair, right? We don't know how many companies are out there. I mean, and there are some hair care products out there that are owned by Negro Americans, right? Because our hair is different from other people's hair. But what about the entry, right? And are there how should I say, are there barriers to that entry? That's the bigger question. So I pulled it up. Of course, you guys know I like using ChatGPT and going through and just reading like, okay, so this was a question that I had. I said, was there an agreement made to block Black Americans from owning and operating beauty supply stores compared to Asian owned? Because most of them are Asian owned. And that's just a fair question. And Spud McKenzie says bullseye. Yeah. So I was like, it's a fair question. So it says they weren't able to find any formal evidence, right? A written agreement such as a policy or contract that explicitly blocks Black Americans from owning or operating beauty supply stores compared to Asian owners. What has happened based on studies, journalism, and testimony from Black entrepreneurs is a pattern of structural and market barriers that make it much harder for Black-owned beauty supply owners to succeed. Why? I thought we lived in a capitalistic country, right? I thought hey, if you got an idea and if you can go forward with it, we should champion that. That's not happening in our community. And so here's the breakdown. So distribution control, the Black hair care and beauty supply industry is worth billions of dollars annually, but much of the wholesale distribution is dominated by Korean and Chinese owned companies, especially from the 1970s onward. Now, I know they are not using our products in their hair. Their hair is nothing like ours. Nothing. They don't perm their hair. We do. They're not trying to use certain type of, oils to protect the texture of their hair, but we do. Why would the entry be blocked? That's the question. So many Black entrepreneurs report that wholesalers often refuse to sell to them directly or only sell at inflated prices while giving Asian-owned retailers preferential access. Now, we would call that RICO, right? Or racketeering. But we'll see. So informal gatekeeping, while not an official agreement, there are well-documented accounts of exclusive supplier networks where distributors prioritizing selling to Asian-owned stores. A 2017 New York Times report and other investigative pieces highlight how Korean American beauty supply associations have historically leveraged collective buying power, making it difficult for outsiders, especially Black entrepreneurs, to gain access to popular products at competitive prices. Historic context. After 1965, Immigration Nationality Act, large numbers of Korean immigrants entered the U.S. and found opportunities in the Black hair care market. Somebody had to give them entry. And there was an act, 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act. That's when a lot of our lives changed, right? By pooling resources and building strong cooperative networks, they gained a foothold and created closed-loop supply chains. This didn't legally block Black ownership, but it functioned as a practical barrier. Okay. So the current situation, there are successful Black-owned beauty supply stores today, but they often face higher startup costs, limited access to distributors, and difficulty competing with established networks. Advocacy groups and entrepreneurs have called this a form of economic exclusion, not through formal law, but through informal agreements and collective practices. And this is what you would call underwritten laws or rules, right? We may have a code of conduct, right? That's not necessarily written down on paper, but we have an understanding. And that's pretty much what that is. So there is no legal or formalized agreement barring Black Americans from owning beauty supply stores. However, there are strong, well-documented structural barriers and informal distributor networks that have historically limited access for Black entrepreneurs, effectively favoring Asian-owned businesses in the sector. And it says, would you like me to pull some cases together? I was like, absolutely. I said, yes. And can you also explain if this is a RICO or cartel situation that could be pointed out to Congress? Because I want to know, right? Inquiring minds. So it's a great question. Now, the case studies, Black entrepreneurs facing barriers. There was a situation where someone named Tina Williams of Detroit, Michigan, tried to open a beauty supply in 2005. She shared in interviews during the Crane's Detroit business in 2017 that distributors refused to sell to her directly, telling her she needed to go through certain wholesalers. Asian-owned competitors, however, were given direct access at lower wholesale prices. She had to buy retail and resell, so it made her prices double, right? So let's just say this way. So if the Asian people got it for $1 and she had to buy it for $5, right, which would be the markup, I'm just saying at retail, she would have to at least sell it for $10. Okay. So she would, basically just break even, where this person buying it for $1 could sell it for $5 and at least make a profit. That's what they're doing. And that's wrong. It's just wrong. It's disgusting. And our Congress is allowing it. And Black Empower says Asians did the same thing with fruit and vegetable stores. They've transitioned away from that to hair, restaurants, and dry cleaning, mostly in Black American neighborhoods. Absolutely. And my whole thing is, I'm not against capitalism, but I am against you harming people to get $1, right? If we're going to compete, have a Black-owned dry cleaner and an Asian-owned dry cleaner, right? Have them both. And may the best man win. May the best service win. But when you are purposely blocking people out, and when the distributors are purposely, how should I say, managing the scales and giving one person a discount and not offering that to another, that's the wrong part. That's where it's wrong. That's where you are literally controlling the competition. You're not leveling the playing field. So I don't ever want anybody to say that Black Americans don't work hard and that we don't want entry and that we're not starting businesses, because there's always somebody in the background rigging the system. Stop rigging the system and just let the system flourish organically. Period. Let people lose or win. And that's it. Based on their efforts. Stop managing behind the backgrounds and manipulating the system. And then want to call people lazy on top of it. It's insane. Stop it. Tatas, thank you for reposting the stream. So Derek, last name R, with an R, he's from Atlanta, Georgia. He was featured in the 2018 Black Star article. He testified that he attempted to open accounts with multiple distributors and was told, we're not accepting new stores right now. Later, he discovered that Asian buyers were being onboarded at the same time. Why? Why can't we? We're the ones buying the products mostly. We're the ones using the wigs. We're the ones using the weave. We're the ones braiding our hair mostly. Okay? But you don't want us to own the stores. You don't want us to have access to the distribution. You want to be in our neighborhoods, by the way. And then you want to call us lazy because we're not starting our own businesses. You better stop playing in my face. You better stop playing in my face. You're going to stop that. You're going to stop that. We're going to get this fixed. And then we're going to let the best man win. But we are not going to continue to purchase anything from anyone who's bringing us harm in our own communities. you're going to stop. You're going to go bankrupt as far as I'm concerned. And I want you to lose billions of dollars. On top of that, I want us to start making our own products, period. And if any harm comes to us, like people trying to burn down our manufacturing systems or mess with our products, we will know exactly who to go to, and we will find you and shut you down. You're going to leave Black people alone. You're going to leave the Negro race here in America alone, period. So he concluded there was an unwritten rule that made entry nearly impossible for Black-owned businesses. Remember I talked about that unwritten rule? Yeah, that's what's happening, y'all. That's what's happening. And Spud McKenzie says monopoly. That's what they're creating. And Dr. C says this is why they now copy everything about us, from stitching in 4C hair on the heads to copy our Black American band performances. Oh yeah. They're going to stop. So then the Consumer Federation of American Hearings, in the early 2000s, Black store owners testified that they were systematically denied access to distributors of wigs, weave, and hair care products despite representing the consumer base. Like, that's my whole thing. It's kind of weird. It's like, why would you stop us to use the products, mostly us? Why wouldn't you want to do business with us? Your business would be even more booming if you did business with, but you don't want to do that. You want to lock us out. So several describe the system as a closed loop controlled by Korean American buying groups. Korean Americans. Wow. So you want to decimate other Americans. You don't want to work with us, but you want to siphon off of us. Got it. So Patty Cake says, my friend has a beauty store in Birmingham, Alabama, and she couldn't get the products, period. So she sent a white guy to do it for her. And now her business is successful. Exactly. And I've heard somebody else saying they had to get an Asian at one point in time. I'm like, why do we have to use other people to get stuff? So Black Empower says Asians have been allowed to monopolize specific businesses and also run illegal businesses, right? Massage parlors, such as massage parlors, fake designer bags and watches, etc. Exactly. And nobody's coming after them. No one comes after them. It's crazy. And Mark from the Soil, thank you so much for reposting the stream. Bobby, thank you for reposting the stream. And Dr. C says, then the government has the nerve to enact the Crown Act. Exactly. Really? You're going to tell me what? First of all, you come into the community, create a monopoly, block us out, and we're the ones using the hair care products, right? And we're trying, and I know a lot of us out there, we have talked about, purchasing within our community to circulate those dollars, right? Those dollars need to at least circulate at least 6 times, right? We're just trying to get to 2. I'm just saying, look, 1, if we can. But you come in, block us out, and then wonder why we don't want to spend any of our money with you. The reason is you're not creating a level playing field. You've created a monopoly, especially in the communities where, look, we are a people, we like looking good. We like having our hair done and our clothes great. And look, but that's just who we are as a community. But everybody else wants to siphon off of us, but they don't want us to benefit from us. You're going to stop that. You're going to stop it. And we're going to put a stop to it. Just letting you know. We're on the move. So it said, could this be RICO or cartel? Because that's what I'm really trying to figure out. So the Racketeering Influence and Corruption Organizations Act targets organized criminal activity such as price fixing, collusion, and exclusionary practices that form a pattern of racketeering. So to frame the situation as RICO cartel matter, Congress or DOJ would need evidence of collusion among distributors if distributors collectively agreed not to sell to Black entrepreneurs while selling to Asian-owned stores. Well, we know this is going on, right? But it's almost like, well, if we sell to 3 Black-owned entrepreneurs, you can't say that we're discriminating, right? But the other 12 that were denied would have to come forward and say, why were we denied? Right? And they can make up an excuse. So I'm just saying that's just how they might go about it. So market allocation or bid rigging. If distributors carved up the market to favor certain ethnic groups. Exclusionary agreements. If there were written or verbal agreements within buying groups to prevent non-members, i.e. Black-owned stores, from accessing supply. And that does happen. Like someone just said in my feed, she had to get somebody else of another ethnicity to buy the products so she could supply them in her store at the wholesale rate so she could at least make a profit. I remember meeting someone in Norcross, and she kept getting berated by this individual who said, we want to buy your store and I want to buy your store. And she was like, no, I want to keep my store. And they would literally threaten and harass this woman on a weekly and monthly basis because she was a Black-owned beauty supply. What are you doing? Why can't there be any competition? What is wrong with you? It's okay as long as we're buying it from you. Like, what is that even about? It's really crazy. Really crazy. So Dr. C says this country is entrenched in plantation ideologies and systems. Yeah, it is. And it's sad. And we need to get out of that. Because again, what I'm saying is you keep telling us, buy a business, do this, do this. And when we go out and do it and we're not given the loans, or we are given loans at an unfair, disadvantaged rate, by the way. There were times when people have a worse credit score than ours and they're given better interest rates than us. Or we're just denied the loan altogether so we can't even start the company that we want to start. And that has happened because there's been billion-dollar cases against Wells Fargo and JP Morgan Chase. Okay. I think the book is called The Black Tax. Yeah. And you can also read about some of it from Here to Equality. It touches a little bit on that, but the Black Tax, yeah. So no one can sit here and tell me that Black people are lazy, because we're not. But at every point in time, we're being denied entry. I'm showing you right here on the screen. You know, my chat is not biased. Sometimes it can be wrong in the sense where, like yesterday when I was talking about voting, I was like, yeah, they're not including illegal immigrants getting IDs. Sorry, but I didn't ask it that question, right? It just was comparison. Like, this is what's hurting Black people. It needs to stop. And it does start and end with us, as far as I'm concerned. And as long as I have breath and life in my body, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight to make sure that we get what we are supposed to have. Because apparently we need to fight for it. Because, you know, if we don't, who will? So cartel comparison, because I wanted to do that. In antitrust law, a cartel is when competitors collude to control supply, fix prices, and exclude competitors. Well, that's all there. Saying what's described in the beauty supply industry, especially the Korean American buying groups and distributor networks, has cartel-like characteristics. It does. Collective control of distribution, exclusion of outsiders, which is us, and we buy the products, right? And they know we're going to buy them. Maintenance of market dominance through group solidarity. No, they created a monopoly and will not give us entry, even though we're the ones using the products. It's crazy. It's really insane. And Unc says, this is how the Asian nail business, right, came in and destroyed the Black nail business. Black nail businesses had to pay more for the product, so they had to charge more for the service, right? Asians came in and lowballed the service because they have access to the cheap products. Exactly. And not to throw shade at anybody, because I used to be a nail tech, right? I got my license and everything. That was going to be my thing. I was going to have this wonderful little boutique. But then later on, I decided not to because I saw how harmful the chemicals were. That's why those people wear masks. That's why they have the little ventilation system to put the dust down there, because inhaling that stuff is like smoking methane cigarettes. It gets into your lungs and it crystallizes. So you guys that go out and get your nails done and all the fancy stuff and you're breathing in all those chemicals, be leery, because those chemicals are literally killing you. It's a carcinogen. So you better be careful with what you do and how you get your nails done. I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there, and I'll even preface it with allegedly. But see, Unk's not wrong, because there were tons of nail care techs that were Black Americans, me included. But to actually get the products, they're not going to sell to me at wholesale. They're going to sell to me at retail so that I can't compete. And see, that's another industry that we need to stop going to. And when I say we, I'm talking about Black Americans. If you cannot find yourself a Black American nail tech, don't go. Figure out another way to get your nails done. Me, I haven't got my nails done in years. And these are actually press-on nails. And I need to figure out, and I know they're probably not made by Black Americans. Put that preface out there. I need to figure out who to go to and figure out that whole process. Give me some grace. But I'm not spending hundreds of dollars every month on people that don't look like me, don't care about me, and have blocked me out of the market. So I have at least a choice, right? Like my daughter, she was looking for a Black-owned nail tech situation. And when she went, it was all Asian. She was just like, okay, this is weird, but it says it's owned by a Black person, but it's all full of Asians. So I'm thinking the Asians, I think they get it, right? That as Black Americans, we're looking to exchange with people that are Black Americans, right? So we're circulating our dollars in our community, which is nothing wrong with that. That's what we want to do. But now that they know that, they are calling themselves Black owned, because how are you going to prove it or disprove it? All I'm saying is we have to make sure we're researching. We know who people are, right? And we know who we're supporting. I'm just saying we gotta do a whole investigation about it. It's crazy. So what could be pointed out to Congress? So economic exclusion, right? Black entrepreneurs represent the consumer base, but are systematically excluded from ownership due to gatekeeping at the distribution level, right? Antitrust monopoly concerns, distributor network function in a cartel-like way, shutting out competition. Civil rights diminishing, right? Since the exclusion disproportionately harms Black entrepreneurs, it raises concerns of economic discrimination. It's very true. Policy asks, Congress could push DOJ Antitrust Division or the FTC to investigate whether these networks constitute anti-competitive practices under the Sherman Act or even racketeering under RICO if collusion and fraud are proven. Right? So Unc says, or find a real Asian friend and let them overbuy supply with their fellow Asian cousins. Yeah, people have done that. I'm just telling you, they have. They do. Yes, they're even listed as Black, presenting Black adjacent. Exactly, because they know we are at the point where we're not dealing with you if you're not Black owned. And I know a lot of people, they get offended, like, what do you mean Black owned? We're trying to circulate the dollars in our community. We're just trying to do what everybody else does. Do you understand that? Because see, the people that siphon off our community don't live here. They live outside of our community, and they take all of our billions of dollars to somewhere else. And other people are benefiting off of that money. And then when our communities look like crap, you're like, well, why don't you guys have any money? Because you keep siphoning off of us. It's very simple. It's really easy. And so Black Empower says their businesses target Black American neighborhoods, so we would become their economy. Exactly. Then targeted Black Americans to become the perpetrators of Asian hate. for a hate crime bill. All these immigrant groups come to America with the promise of exploiting Black Americans. You are so on it, sir. Thank you for that. And Tata says, my sister opened her nail salon 8 months ago. Her shop is growing fast. Oh, I'm so excited. Her social media page was hacked. Stop that. Stop. By an Asian man. So she had reset all her password. What? The targeting. I am so sorry. We need to be praying for this sister. And and let us know. Definitely email me or just tag me or DM me, right? Her website and information so we can make sure that people are getting to her, right? We want to support our businesses. And Unc says, we're just following the old mandate of pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, right? Maybe they'll understand if you say it like that. Okay, I get it. I'm going to pull myself up by my bootstraps. Stop cutting the straps. That's all I'm saying. I got bootstraps. Stop cutting them, right? Or stop cutting off my fingers one at a time so I cannot pull up the bootstraps with my hands. That's all I'm saying. Yes, will do. Thank you. Thank you, Tatas, because that's such a beautiful thing, and it's so cool because, like I said, I used to be a nail tech and I enjoyed, and this was weird, but my favorite thing to do was to do pedicures on, women that were a little bit older and they weren't so pleased with their feet, but, just getting to care for them and, make their feet pretty and make them feel good about themselves going out through the day. That's what gave me joy as a nail tech, to really be able to serve somebody and, again, make them feel wonderful. Oh, a thumbs up. Thank you, Tatas. And sometimes that's why nail techs even get into the business. They don't necessarily get into it to make millions and billions of dollars. It's just because they love serving other people. Really, truly. So let's continue. So, in summary, while no official agreement exists, the pattern of distributor collusion and exclusion functions in a way very similar to a cartel. If documented and proven, it could be framed as an antitrust and possibly RICO issue, especially since it disproportionately excludes Black Americans from an industry built on their cultural contributions and consumer spending. And Unc, thank you so much for reposting this space. So I did ask it. So it asked me, draft congressional briefing style summary. I was like, yeah. What would it look like, right? So a briefing memo, barriers to Black ownership in the beauty supply industry. So prepared for members of Congress, market, and the issue is market exclusion of Black entrepreneurs in the beauty supply sector. Given the background, the U.S. beauty supply industry generates billions annually with products such as wigs, weaves, and specialty hair care primarily consumed by Black Americans. Despite being the majority of the consumer base, Black Americans own less than 10% of beauty supply stores nationwide. Since the 1970s, the industry has been dominated by Korean American distributors and wholesalers who control the supply chain from manufacturing to retail. So you found a niche in our community and blocked us out from entry. But then you want to turn around and call us lazy while you're in our community selling to us. Because if it was in your community, we're not going to go to you to buy it. We're not. We would assume that it's for you. It's not for us. So you're given entry into our community, but there's no fair competition, right? Really, truthfully. Because if we have the store and we own the store and we have the same thing that you're getting, you're not going to have it. Because people are going to trust people that look like them, that own the store, and that are selling the products, that are using the products. Which I've seen more now, especially here in Georgia. I was like, oh, y'all getting the message. Because I see more Black Americans working behind the counter, but I know you don't own that store. I know you don't own it because I've already seen the owners. And they're about to go broke. I'm just going to tell you right now, Korean Americans, wake up, smell the coffee. Because we're going to stop buying from you. You are about to be the brokest people on the planet from us. I'm just saying, we're going to stop messing with you. I'm just going to say it like that. We're going to stop messing with you. And that's not a slight. That's not Rico. I'm just tired of being disrespected. That's all I'm saying. We're not going to your nail shops. We're not going to your beauty supplies. And you're going to figure out, you're going to need to figure out who is your consumer base to purchase from you. Because we, as a collective, as a community, are going to stop that. And we're going to start buying within our community and recycling those dollars. Now, if you happen to get like $1 or $2 out of our $6, okay, that's fine. But you're not going to get all the $6. And I'm just using that as an example. Now, a lot of people might be like, you're just being a racist. I'm not being a racist. I'm being a consumer. And I want my community to flourish. And I'm tired of people telling me my community is lazy when we're not. That's not being racist. That's taking care of home first. Period. Sassy lady says, amen. Look, everybody else does it. But when we get ready to do it, it's like, oh my God. Oh no. The Black people are angry. Stop that. We have just as right as anybody else to demand from our own. We are going to circulate the dollars in our community first. And everybody else, as my husband likes to say, can get theirs off the glass. Okay? Basketball terminology. If you don't know, now you know. Now, distributor gatekeeping. Okay? Multiple testimonies from Black entrepreneurs document being denied access to wholesale accounts or forced to purchase products at inflated prices. Asian-owned retailers, in contrast, receive preferential treatment and direct supply access. Closed distribution networks, Korean American buying groups, and distributor associations operate in a way that effectively excludes non-members, particularly Black entrepreneurs. This creates a closed-loop system where supply distribution and retail remain concentrated within one ethnic group. Cartel-like behavior. Evidence suggests informal collusion among distributors, including restricting supply to non-preferred buyers, price coordination, market allocation practices. These practices mirror the characteristics of a cartel, raising concerns under U.S. antitrust law, right? So we have laws to protect us. So civil rights implications. Exclusion disproportionately harms Black Americans, preventing wealth building and economic participation in an industry driven by their cultural consumption. This may amount to systematic economic discrimination, which it is. It truly is. And Sassy Lady, thank you so much for reposting the stream. So, legal policy and analysis, antitrust concerns, RICO considerations, civil rights angle, policy recommendations. They should hold congressional hearings, right? Hold hearings in relevant committees, judiciary, small business, energy, and commerce, to investigate anti-competitive practices in the beauty supply industry. The FTC and the DOJ investigations, they should direct the Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Justice Antitrust Division to investigate potential cartel behavior. Support for Black entrepreneurs. Establish federal grant or loan programs to assist Black entrepreneurs in accessing capital and inventory, right? Incentivize alternate supply chains that promote equity and competition. Transparency in distribution. Require wholesalers to adopt a non-discriminatory practices in supply access and pricing. Now, Unk says Pan-Asian is just like Pan-African ideology. It's all a one-way street. Both take from Black American communities, but neither put into Black American communities. Exactly. And see, this is what I want. I want us to have our own manufacturers. Period. Because what my concern is, okay, they open it up and we're supposed to have this fair competition. What if they start diminishing the quality of the product, right? And they sell that to us, to sell to us. You know what I'm saying? Wholesale, retail. And then people are this, they're like, why is it different? Why is the product less? Why is this and that? Yeah. I don't trust them anymore. Period. The trust is gone. Sorry. I've been abused too much. And I've seen too much. And I see how you hate our community. You hate us. You do hate our community. I don't ever want anybody in any other community that's siphoning off of us saying, we love you. You love our money. You hate us, period. You like the money. You can't stand us, which is why I would rather you be in everybody else's community. Figure out something else. We don't want you here, period, because you don't care. I want us to have our own manufacturers, and I want the harassment to stop. We want to take care of ourselves. Let me say it again. We want to take care of ourselves. Stop blocking the loans. Stop blocking our entry. Leave us alone and let us flourish, period. Because see, when we do well, we'll all do well. But if you keep messing with us, this is just not going to go well, because you're going to be broke and we're still going to have what we want. But you're really going to be broke like nobody wants to talk to you anymore. You'll be a social pariah. That's where I'm at, because I'm tired. So the U.S. beauty supply industry represents a troubling case where anti-competitive practices and racial exclusion overlap. While no formal law blocks Black Americans from ownership, the current structure functions as a de facto cartel that undermines fair competition and disproportionately harms Black entrepreneurs. It just does. Congressional oversight combined with antitrust enforcement is necessary to ensure that this vital industry remains open, fair, and competitive. Period. Because see, you still have to look at those places. Like I said, that other woman in Norcross, how she was harassed habitually to close her store or sell her store. And she was just like, no, this is mine. Leave me alone. Every month, this person would threaten her. Threatened to harm her, threatened her, you better sell your store, just constant, would not leave her alone because she had a shop that was competing with theirs. What are we doing? We definitely don't live in Asia where that's okay. It's not okay. Wake up. See, we're waking up. So, yeah. And we know where the Black beauty supply stores are. And that's where we're going to start shifting to. Even if we got to buy our stuff online, we will figure it out. We are not purchasing from you anymore. You've lost. I want you to lose trillions of dollars. That's what I want. And I know a lot of people would be like, wow, that's just kind of mean to say no. Because see, I know if you're losing trillions of dollars, that means that money's going to circulate in our community. And then our community is going to get built up the way it should be. Period. Period. Get out of our community. Go somewhere else. Find somebody else to siphon off of. Because you're never going to make it fair because you don't respect us. Period. Black Empower says, if you go to Costco, you'll see Asian and Indians buying cartloads of product and selling them at 4 times the price at their stores in our community. Absolutely. Like the, I know you're talking about like the little convenience stores and different things like that. Oh yeah. Look, they have figured it out. But my question is, who's giving them entry? And that needs to be stopped. And the way that you get people out is you starve the system. And when people stop going into their stores and buying anything and they can't afford to stay open, okay. But see, when that Black entrepreneur comes around and they want to open a store in the same place to actually work in the community and recycle in the community, you better leave that Black entrepreneur alone. And that's what it comes back to. Because that Black entrepreneur will be harassed. They will not be given the same treatment. And those are the things, in my opinion, it comes back to our local government still. It always comes back to the local government, making sure that we have protections for our businesses so that our businesses are flourishing in our neighborhoods and we can recycle those dollars. Just saying. I'm just saying, gotta have that hard conversation. And this is a hard conversation to have. It's not easy. Nobody wants to talk about this, but I will, because I don't like people being taken advantage of. And so I said, since the since the Consumer Federation of American Hearings, has anything changed, right? And Black Empower says, absolutely. It says, okay, so has anything changed? And it says, here's what's changed or not since the Consumer Federation of American Hearings regarding distribution access and ownership barriers in the beauty supply industry. So structural inequities remain largely unchanged. In May 2025, report highlights persistent ethnographic segmentation. Whew, I had to read that slow. Black consumers fuel a multi-billion-dollar market, yet Black entrepreneurs continue to be systematically excluded from ownership and distribution, facing inflated cost, limited inventory access, and sparse distribution partnerships. So this is still going on. In 2022, McKinsey analysis revealed that Black-owned brands account for only 2.5% of industry revenue, despite representing 11% of total beauty spending. How do we spend more and it's crazy. The thing is, it's not that we don't have the innovation and people don't want to, they're not giving the access. So it says Black founders still face severe underrepresentation in product offerings and corporate leadership because we're being denied the access. Why are you denying access to us and we want to take care of us? Like, that needs to stop. It needs to stop. Stop siphoning off of us. So continued barriers, funding, placement, and visibility. Despite surface level diversity initiatives, underlying systematic barriers in funding, mentoring, manufacturing, and retail placement persist. Black founders often lack access to shelf space and strategic partnerships that non-Black brands receive. The Black beauties sector reliance on grant funding is increasingly precarious. Programs like the Fearless Fund faced legal challenges which could severely affect Black entrepreneurs' access to vital startup. Right. We got I'm still glad they're still around, but it was messed up. Finally got something to say, yay, we got some funding. That's not right. That's racially based. And really? Y'all can get money from everywhere else. Why are you messing with us? Why are you messing with us? Mess with somebody else's group for a while. Mess with them. Like, we're exhausted. It's dumb. It's dumb at this point. It really, really is when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. And King Cooper Tremaine, thank you so much for reposting the stream. So retail and corporate diversity. Now, this is where I kind of disagree with ChatGPT. Like, you guys know, I have a conversation with my chat. So influential support systems and supplier diversity are facing setbacks. Major firms like Amazon, Meta, and Ford have rolled back DEI programs directly impacting Black women entrepreneurs who previously benefited from supplier access and inclusion initiatives. On the retail front, the 15% pledge, which encourages companies to allocate 15% of shelf space to Black-owned brands, has gained traction. Partners include Sephora, Nordstrom, Target, and others, and has sprawled philanthropic efforts like Sephora's $100,000 beauty grant for a Black business owner. All nice things. Here's where DEI kicks us in the face, because even though they say it was made for us, we truly do not benefit from it, and it hurts us because it puts a label on entry. Why can't we just have entry? Why does it have to have a name to it? Why can't you just stop doing the bad things? Right? Why can't you stop doing the bad things and let the market be the market? Why can't you just let people have shelf space? Why does it have to be specifically that you have to carve out anything for Black Americans? Why can't Black Americans just flourish? That's the bigger question. Because see, here's the thing. We'll ask for something specific and then we'll put a program around it, which is dumb. Well, we'll put a program around it so it forces you, right? It forces you to acknowledge us, and then you want to get mad at us for that. All right, fine. Take everything away from everybody. And this all has to be merit based on merit, based on what people want to buy, based on people want to do. Okay, let's do that. And if you do that, let the market react the way it wants to. There are going to be winners and losers, period. Why are you so afraid of giving us entry and access? Period. We should have entry and access like everybody else. If somebody else has an 800 credit score and I have an 800 credit score, I shouldn't be denied the loan. Or if you give me the loan, why are you giving me the loan at 26% and you gave it to that person at 6%, and I may have an 800 credit score and they have a 560? What are we doing? It's that stuff. Stop telling me I'm not hardworking when I've done everything that you've asked of me and you still deny me. It's that stuff. It's that part that we're looking at and we're tired of it. Stop telling me I'm not working hard when I am. That's all I'm saying. And I'm definitely not supporting DEI because it's and a lot of people don't know this, it's more nefarious than just that. It was a program set up to be a stepping stone for something else to something else to something else. We don't want that. We just want the level playing field that everybody else talks about, engage in capitalism, and do our thing. That's it. It's real simple. It's real simple. Stop sending people into our community to siphon off of our wealth and let us build wealth. How about that? How about you go into your community and figure out how to build wealth? That's all I'm saying. Deal with your people. And then when there's some respect there, we might think about messing with you again. But up until that time, we're not messing with you. We have to come over here. You have to go over there. And I know a lot of people are going to get mad at like, oh my gosh, she's talking about being a separatist. No, I'm talking about economic independence. Period. Everybody else has it but us. But when we talk about it, it's wrong. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, the Black people are having a meeting again. Why are you so worried about it? But the Negroes is having a meeting. Yes, we are. And just like J. Edgar Hoover said, the worst thing in this country is I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he basically lived in fear of the Negro actually working together. That's his biggest fear. Why? It's dumb. And Sean A.I. said, founder got me fired up. I'm glad. Because there needs to be a pit of fire in all of our bellies, everywhere. I mean, Sean A.I., when I think about you being a filmmaker, I want to see your films on screen so we can support you with what you're doing and, the stories that you want to tell us in the escape. Because I like escaping when I go to a movie. I don't want, oh my gosh, everything in here is political. I want to see a good story. I want to see some good storytelling because that's what, we've been accustomed to it in some areas. And it's okay to have that. But I want to see other entrepreneurs show us their talents and acts and support that. But again, they want to block entry and access to all of us. So grounds for legal action, right? Black entrepreneurs who have been denied access to beauty supply distribution could potentially bring claims under several legal frameworks. And this is kind of helping me, determine like what could I do. So I said, should Black Americans sue for being disproportionately denied? And so that's where this comes from. So they said, antitrust law, right? If distributors or buying groups collude to exclude competitors, in this case, Black-owned stores, it could be considered anti-competitive conduct, right? Antitrust law doesn't directly address race, but if a group of companies is fixing supply, controlling markets, or engaging in group boycotts, that's actionable. And they've been found to do it. Just here in this, the show that I've been doing, people have shown, they've had to get people of other ethnicities to kind of act as the front man for their businesses so they can get the product. That it shouldn't be like that. It should never be like that. So, civil rights law, Section 1981 of the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Section 1981 guarantees all persons in the U.S. the right to make and enforce contracts without racial discrimination. If Black entrepreneurs can show they were denied supplier contracts because of race, they could bring a civil rights claim. Have we ever brought a civil rights claim against these people? I haven't investigated that yet, but I will. Didn't ask that. So we'll keep going. RICO, Racketeering, Influence, and Corruption Organizations Act. If there is evidence of a pattern of coordinated exclusion, fraud, or coercion in the supply chain, it could be framed as racketeering. This is harder to prove, but the argument could be made if organized distributor networks systematically denied Black owners access, which we know they are. We know they are. So challenging is court proof, informationality, industry norms, and defenses, right? Congressional versus court. So court cases could force change if successful, but lawsuits are long, costly, and difficult without smoking gun evidence. Congressional action, a class action lawsuit or antitrust complaint paired with congressional hearings could apply public and legal pressure to at the same the precedent. Similar combined strategies are used in cases of housing discrimination, banking, which is redlining, and even Black farmers' lawsuit against the USDA, Pickford versus Glickman, 1999, which led to settlements worth over $2 billion, which they still had to fight to get that, which is crazy. But anyway. So the recommendation, yes, Black Americans could sue if they show evidence of systemic exclusion from contracts and supply access. But most effective approach may be two-track strategy, right? Legal action, civil rights plus antitrust laws, or policy action, congressional hearings to investigate whether beauty supply distribution functions as a cartel and racially discrimination system. Yeah. So, and I just asked the last question, right? Would it be better if Black Americans started their own manufacturing distribution? It said, excellent question. Short answer is yes, but with strategy and support. So let me explain both. So, why Black-owned manufacturing distribution is powerful: control of the supply chain, economic empowerment, and cultural authenticity. Challenges to watch: capital investment, right? Because it does start a lot to start up. Distribution networks, right? Even if Black-owned manufacturing grows, getting into major retailers like Target, Walmart, etc., requires persistence and relationships and industry pushback. Incumbent distributors may try to undercut prices, buy out competitors, or pressure retailers not to carry new Black-owned brands. And that's where we have to have our own stores, right? We got to have that backup. Because since we know, okay, if we were to do it, we can do it, but we still have to create an ecosystem where it can survive. So that means we need to create a new Walmart or a new Target or a new Ulta. That's ours, and we can. That's why I'm just telling you guys, we can do this stuff. And we're going to stop trying to worry about sitting at everybody else's table and make our own table and start our own table. And we have our own walls and windows and doors. Period. We're going to stop relying on everybody else and really start relying on each other. So paths forward: cooperative ownership, vertical integration, policy and legal support, consumer power. The bottom line, suing is about justice and accountability. Building manufacturing distribution is about power and independence. If Black Americans own their own manufacturing and distribution, they won't need permission from closed networks, right? It's the harder path up front because of capital demands, but it creates true, lasting control over an industry built on Black cultural expression. Yeah. So I'm not going to get into the blueprint. If I do the blueprint, it will actually be posted in the city later. But another thing that I definitely wanted to show you guys is this. This is a product that I started buying. Oh, I want to say it was like during the pandemic because this wonderful sister, she started this product called Canvas, and it is for Black men and women. As you can see, I actually bought the beard set for my husband. That is the owner and creator of Canvas, and she's got um, beauty products for hair, for your body, and it's canvasbeautybrand.com, because if you put in Canvas Beauty, you're going to get like all these other places. That's not her, but this is her. I want to see if I can find her about section because she's really cool. I was supposed to do an event with her, but it didn't happen. It was like, shucks. But they don't have her about section. They used to have it. But she's been so Canvas Brands Hair Blossom Serum has hundreds of positive reviews, is a leading product in market category, and has a unique infusion that makes its blend 100% proprietary. She's been highlighted in Forbes, Business Owner, The Griot, Essence, Hello Beautiful, and To Nicole. Right? I mean, her business is amazing. There she is, Miss Stormy Steele. And for her history, she says, I can't remember what I read, but I remember the peace it brought me. That same night, I had to dream to start the business. I dropped out of college and everything because I was determined to feel good and bring the vision God gave me to life. So when you see Canvas, it is important that you know this brand is deeper than vanity. The vision was always greater than that. Canvas is about blossoming and becoming the highest version of yourself the you that you were designed to be. I just create top tier, high quality products that remind you of that power you possess. And that is Miss Stormy Steele. So definitely, check her out. So we do have somebody that has products. I'm just saying, we do. So it's not that we aren't in the public sphere, but I had to tell you and let you know the ugly part, right? Of why you don't see us everywhere, because that's the ugly part. But the great part about all of this is that we have the ability to do something about it, right? I'm not talking about just talking and complaining. I'm talking about doing. Again, Miss Stormy Steele, she was able to do it. God gave her that vision and she followed through with it. And sometimes it's scary to step out on your own. I'm sure it was scary for her, but look where she is now. Successful. And if you don't see some of her brands on shelves, it's because she sells it directly from her website. And I bought some of her products. Like I've got like all kinds of collections of her stuff. So you're talking to somebody who uses the products, and I love them. My hair is growing and it's soft and it's luxurious. And like I said, I bought the beard care kit for my husband. That's Christmas. So he's all, hooked up. But yeah, direct. It's that part too. You buy her products directly from her. So again, thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News for this Women in Wellness Wednesday. And she was my pick for today, just to talk about her product. And really, like I said, I had to talk about the ugly part first and then give you guys some inspiration that, hey, we're out here doing it. We're out here making it happen. And we're going to continue to make it happen for our community. So thank you again for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.